can see it. Oh, it got moved.
I can see it.
Oh, yes! That's it. That's a good fish. Oh, yeah. Look at that.
See,
Oh!
fish catched.
Hey there, my name's Morgan and welcome to the Deadliest Craft. This is the very first video on this new channel. Now, some of you might recognize me from my Highland Cycles YouTube channel, which is all about dirt bikes and riding dirt bikes and fixing dirt bikes and all that good stuff. Well, this is all about the other part of my life, fly fishing. I absolutely love fly fishing, and this channel is going to be all about tying flies and catching fish with those flies we tied. It's going to be about adventure on these motorcycles catching fish. It's going to be about traveling all over catching fish. It's going to be awesome. So if that sounds like something you want to participate in, you want to learn how to tie flies with me, make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn the little notification bell on and tell your friends because I want to grow a really cool fly fishing channel. There's a ton of other awesome fly fishing channels out there. I just want to be a part of that. It's a very important part of my life, and it's something that I think is really cool and actually ties in pretty well with dirt bikes too. Let's start this thing off with me telling you a little bit about myself and what this is all about. I have been fly fishing now for a very long time. Started when I was 13, I'm 47 now, and my dad took me fishing. I remember very clearly the very first time we came up to Colorado. I grew up in Oklahoma City. We came up to Colorado and we backpacked into this reservoir in the Wiminute Wilderness, and we learned how to fly fish on a lake. We caught the fish, we ate the fish. It was so much fun. It became the thing that my dad and I do together, and it still is. It is still our main recreation together. It's what I love to do with my father. Fast forward, life got crazy, had some kids, I got way into dirt bikes. I ended up making that my absolute total living, and everything I do is dirt bikes, between racing them, fixing them, making them perform well, all that good stuff. If you're interested in that, if that's something cool and you haven't yet, go check out Highland Cycles, our other channel. It's all about dirt bikes. Last year, my boys and I decided we were gonna go out and do some fishing. So we did. My kids absolutely fell in love with it. I re-fell in love with it, and that has been one of our main focuses. My boys and I going fishing everywhere we can. We take the dirt bikes, we hike in, we take mom, we do all the good stuff, and it's been a ton of fun. And just this year, just a few weeks ago, we decided we wanted to try tying flies because it seemed like a cool thing to do. And our local shop, Montrose Anglers, had a fly tying clinic. It was 4 nights over a month, once a week, and we learned how to tie some flies, and I just became addicted. And I absolutely love it. But I'm really not very good at it yet. I am getting better. I've probably tied, 3 dozen flies now, maybe 4 dozen, something like that. Quite a few. A lot of them are terrible looking, but they're slowly getting better. But this channel, I want this channel to be about my journey in learning how to be a better fly tyer and a better fly fisherman. I'm a pretty good fly fisherman, but if you guys are fly fishermen, you know you can always be better, you can always learn more, and you can always learn from the community. So that's what I want this to be about. I want this to be about learning, me learning, you learning, bringing the community together to have fun. I live in western Colorado in a little town called Montrose. So that's my background is fishing, is western Colorado and western United States. I fished in Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, New Mexico, Colorado, basically in the West. That's where I've spent all my time fly fishing. So if you're a back east fly fisherman, I can learn a lot from you. And I want to come out and fish with you. Maybe not with you if you don't want me, but out there and learn how to do new things. I hope that sounds fun, and I figured on this first one, let's just go over my setup, which is very rudimentary right now, what I have, and let's tie a fly together. I think we're gonna start with this thing we call the Irwin Special. I will tell that story about that here in just a second, how it got its name and what exactly it is. But let's start with what we got. So first of all, cup of coffee. Coffee is another very important thing to me. I am a teetotaler. I don't drink anymore. I used to drink too much, and I don't drink anymore. So coffee, if there are any of you other teetotalers out there, you know coffee is one of those things we gravitate towards. I got no problems with drinking except for me drinking. So if you're having a beer while you're doing this, or a cup of tea, or a whiskey, or whatever, that's awesome. I'm excited. Whatever makes you happy and gets you fired up about the sport of fly fishing and the craft of this. So the reason I call it the Deadliest Craft is because my wife is awesome, and she's into crafting something. She does stained glass and a few other things. She's a farmer. We're here in my big new shop here at my little farm. It's a tiny place, but it's a little farm just north and east of town, and she's way into that kind of stuff. And when I started tying flies, she's like, "Oh, how cute, you've got your own craft now." As a manly man, I'm like, "Oh, come on, it's not a craft, it's awesome, it's..." And then I started like, "Oh, it is really just a craft." But it's the deadliest craft because it's a craft centered around stabbing fish in the face with hooks. So I'm super excited about that. All right, let's talk about the setup. So I have a Peak rotary vise. I spent a little bit of money on the vise because in the class we took, we had these and we had Renzetti's. These Peaks were very, very good and about $100 less than Renzetti's, and I liked them a lot. I also enjoyed the rotary feature, which we'll go over as this channel develops. It's a Peak rotary vise. It's about 160 bucks. Got our hook box, which right now only has 14s, 16s, 18s, and nymphs, 12s, 14s, 16s, 18s, and dries, and a bunch of beads, tungsten and brass. My tool setup, I bought the Loon Core fly tying toolkit. And by the way, guys, I really want to encourage questions and comments below. Not only is it good for the algorithm and for the channel, but it's good for me and for you. I want to know what you guys use. What do you guys use for your fly tying gear? I know there's probably a lot of you guys out there that are a lot better than I am at this, so I need to learn from you. And then there's guys out there that are just like me that want to do it for the first time. So this Loon stuff is really good. Hackle pliers, set of nice scissors. One of my favorite things that a lot of people struggle with, but one of my favorite things is the whip finish tool. I've actually gotten pretty good with that. We got a hair stacker. This is my UV light for curing the UV cement. Got our bobbin threader, bobbin, and this thing. It's got a name. I will remember. Someone's comment below what this is. It's just a needle. I call it a needle because it's to help separate things and put, anyway. There we go. There's our tools. Got our box for flies, another box for midges, the threads and stuff. And so I want to let you guys know, I did not buy a lot of the materials. I bought 2 or 3 spools of thread and some hackle and some things like that. But then a good friend of mine who's been tying flies forever had a whole bunch of extra stuff. So he gave me all this. So I'm just lucky to end up with all this. And yeah, that's about it for the setup. We got some cement, another hair stacker, stuff like that. So that's my setup. It's pretty simple. It's not very fancy. If you include the stuff that I bought plus this, I probably have about $400 setup, which is a lot, and it's going to take quite a while to offset that with flies, right? So this is not about saving money. This is about having fun and about the idea of catching a fish on a fly you tied, which I have yet to do. I haven't done that yet, guys. This is a brand new thing for me. I have yet to catch a fish on a fly that I've tied. I'm really excited to do it. Hopefully it's going to happen very soon. Hopefully you guys will join me for that. It's going to be really cool. So let's get started. I have no idea how to film this stuff. I hope you guys can forgive me any mistakes. Also, give me any ideas or suggestions on how to do this better, how to film it better, and then how to do what I'm doing better. The first fly we're gonna tie for this channel, I'm really excited. Like I said, it's called the Irwin Special. It's a Caddis Emerger. And so it's a little tiny fly. We're gonna tie it in a 16 today. And we got this idea, I found this fly because my kids and I were in Casper, Wyoming, and we went to fish on the North Platte. We had a guide on boats, and we were fishing, and my son Ewan, his name is Ewan, E-W-A-N, was with one guide, and then my son Thomas and I were with the other guide. As we left the boat put in, we took off, and Ewan's guide, they kind of hustled downriver faster than we did. And we got going, and all of a sudden we catch up to him, and Ewan's got a fish on. He's like, woo, you know, and it's a big fish. If you ever fish the North Platte, there are really no small fish in that river. So he's got a big fish on. He's excited. He catches it. We go on. Anyway, a little bit later in the day, Ewan and his guide are further downriver, and our guide looks at me and says, yeah, Irwin's probably down there hooked up on another fish. And I said, it's Ewan. He's like, well, not anymore. It's Irwin now. So that became his nickname that trip, and it's actually stuck. I think it's pretty much just going to be his name. And so as the day goes on, I asked him, we stopped for lunch, and I said, hey, what are you using? And he shows me this fly. And let me pull one out. I think I have one here that I've already tied. So as you can see, it's just a little midge with some brown thread, and it's got this little foam bubble, I'll call it. That's all I can think to call it, is this little foam bubble that helps it kind of float up. And he was using that off of a heavier bug that had a bead head, and then that thing was kind of floating up and like looking like it was emerging, and he was slaying fish all day long. I mean, absolutely killing it. So when we got back, we went and we found some at a fly shop there in Casper, and we bought them. Since then, he has used that fly all over the place, the South Fork, here on the Gunnison, to catch fish, and it's been amazing. Real quick, that is who this fly is named after. There's Irwin Spradling. He's actually Ewan Spradling, but that's the kid who made this thing famous. Yep. So it looks really simple. I've obviously tied a couple already, but I think it's going to be cool. So why don't we do that? Let's jump in and figure out how to tie an Irwin special. Okay, guys, let's start by choosing our thread. Like I said, it was a brown guy, so we'll dig in here. We got some 8/0 uni thread, dark brown. Take our bobbin holder, snap that in there. Take our threader. I guess I probably shouldn't wear a black. You know what? I shouldn't wear this black hoodie. I'm gonna go change hoodies, and I'll be right back. All right, that's way better. This is my first time filming anything with fly fishing, and I'm so used to wearing black around all the dirt bike stuff because it's so dirty. So let's get back to this. All right, so we take our threader. That's what I'm calling it. It probably has another name. And honestly, this sometimes is the hardest thing for me. If you guys are like me, older, eyes aren't perfect, but there we go. Now we got her threaded. Now we're gonna choose a hook. So we're gonna go a 16 nymph. So for these little flies, it seems like this kind of hooked scud shape is better. Looks more like a bug. So I'm gonna use that. Put him in our vise. And on these, the hooked ones, let's see if you can see, I kind of like to tilt them up a little bit more than normal. Still want it relatively flat, but just a little bit up more than normal. Again, I'm gonna try to get better shots here as we go. One thing I've learned, guys, is having this white paper, and this table's obviously dirty, but like having something that's just a plain white background to look down on is really helpful. As you can see, there we go. So yeah, you can see how easy that is to see with the white background. It's much, much easier than if it's like against that or obviously against that. So that makes life a lot easier. Gonna start. And on this guy, it doesn't really matter where you start. So, see, this is honestly, this is one of the hardest things for me. Sometimes it's getting started. There we go. Some wraps. Come in here, cut off our tag end. And one of the things I'm learning is to try to keep my thread short so my wraps take less movement. So we're just gonna kind of wrap around. Now we're just gonna go touching wraps all the way back to the bend. And this is another thing that I struggle with, is trying not to catch on that hook point. And the nice thing about this fly is that it really isn't that important to look perfect, which is definitely how I need to start my day, my fly tying session, and also just how I'm starting my fly tying career. So now we got it all covered. Just come back up. We'll just kind of spiral wrap back up. Oops, see, hang on there. And then kind of build this up. And you can kind of see, if you look closely, you can see that it's not, you know, it's definitely not perfect. And I kind of just go back and forth. And what we're going to do now is we're going to build up the front of this and make him a little fatter to the front, because that's what bugs look like. Starting to build them up. It's not critical that it be perfect, but so we're not going to go all the way down to the bend anymore because we want that to be thinner. I'll do a couple reps down here. There we go. Now we're just going to go back up to the front and then back down, go to like the halfway point. And you can see how he's getting fatter. He's starting to look like a bug there. And so you can see he's got a little bit of a kind of a notch right in there that's not perfect. So I want to try to do a little more of a taper. There we go. Now let's build them up, get them nice and fat up here. These are so easy, a little bit tedious because you're just kind of going back and forth, but you want to just go until, you know, until you feel like he looks like a little caddis. And if you've never seen a caddis pupa, you should definitely turn some rocks over in the river next time, and you'll see they kind of look like this. I like this taper to be a little bit more, like not quite so abrupt. So we're gonna go back down here. Again, see guys, we're learning. I said we're not gonna go back down here, but we went back down here. It's because I just didn't like the way it looked. I liked it, I want it to look, oh, see, oh boy, there we go. I want it to look a little more smooth transition. Now I'm gonna let this hang. I like it. I like the way that guy looks. So now we're gonna get our foam. So I've just got this 1 mil foam. And what I just do is I just take my scissors and I'm gonna cut a thin strip. And this will be enough for 8 to 10 flies. That much right there. One of the things, guys, I really need to work on is my organization while I'm tying. And maybe you guys have some really good advice for that. I know I probably need like a better desk with drawers and things like that. I just don't have one yet. One of these days we'll get one. So now take our foam, and don't worry, it's gonna be too big at first. We're gonna have our thread at about the 40% mark, something like that. Or is that the 30, I don't know. Not all the way to the front and not all the way to the back. We're gonna kind of pinch it on there. I wanna run it way too long at first. Do one just kind of half wrap, and we're gonna adjust the foam. Another wrap. And the cool thing, if you don't go too fast, you can kind of adjust it. Now I'm gonna put them up right here for me. There we go. Now I'm gonna do some more wraps and just go easy, not super tight. Now I'm gonna cut this back part off with my scissors, nice and tight, down low. There we go. Now we're just gonna wrap back over that and just slowly cover that up. And I've seen these flies have the foam sticking off the back too. But I don't know, I like them better like this. So you can see it's kind of bulgy there. I'm gonna go ahead and try to ramp that down a little bit smoother. Come back up front. Now we're gonna take our hand and we're gonna pull this back and go in front of him so that it kind of poofs that foam up. Just a little bit more maybe. Now we're just gonna cut them off nice and short. Just like that. We're gonna whip finish to finish him up. There we go. Do that in front of the foam, about 5 or 6. Snipper. Thread off there, and now this is what I do because I don't totally trust my fly tying skills. And see, he's got a little bit of a thread sticking out there. He's not perfect, but I like to use, there we go, this Loon UV clear fly finish thin. Flip them upside down. That's one thing I like about the rotary, and we're just going to put a dab on his thorax there, away from the eye of the hook. I don't know about you guys, but I absolutely hate when I'm trying to tie a fly on and I can't get the stupid tippet through the eye because it's got head cement on it. So then we take our UV light. We're just gonna hit that guy for about 15 seconds. All right, let's check him out. There he is. Now, there we go. Now you can see his little bubble, and he looks good. He's not perfect by any means, but I think that thing's gonna catch some fish. I'm pretty excited about him. All right, guys, what do you think? How was that video? I don't know. If you like this stuff, please consider subscribing to the channel. I know you're gonna hear that a ton on all the YouTube videos. As a guy who has a successful channel in another industry, it really does make a big difference if you guys subscribe and tell your friends about it. Again, please, 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 please give me your feedback on the fly, the filming, the stories, all that stuff. I want to know about it. Actually, Ewan just went and grabbed his actual Irwin special out of his box. He still had one. And it's a little bit different than this. It actually has some copper ribs and a little bit of dubbing up front. So it was definitely different. So I think this guy is going to catch fish. I'm really excited about it. But maybe in the next video, we'll tie it with those ribs and a little bit of dubbing, he's got a little bit of a puffy body. What do you guys think? What do you guys want to see me tie next? We're learning. I really have very few flies that I'm good at tying, and I don't even know if there are any of them that I'm actually good at tying yet, so we can learn together. I don't know. I'm excited about this channel, guys. I really am. I'm so excited about tying flies and sharing my love of fly fishing with you guys and fly tying with you guys and learning from you guys. So yeah, if you have any suggestions on other channels to watch, that would be awesome. I'd really love that. Yeah, I don't know. There we go, guys. Thanks for joining me for the very, very first episode of The Deadliest Craft. I hope you stick around. I hope you come back. I love you guys, and I can't wait to go catch some fish. Yeah, buddy. Hang on. Let me get a video real fast. Give me just a second. Here, lift him up.
This is the.
Right on. That was good. I think I'm going to move holes. There's the little parachute Adams that I'm using. Killer.